BenQ Zowie XL256X. The BenQ Zowie XL2566X Plus ramps up the refresh rate to a head-spinning 400 Hz, making digital firefights in Counter-Strike a true pixel party for those allergic to motion blur. Its super-fast TN panel means every enemy comes at you crystal clear, but do not expect flashy colors or speakers. It is all about speed, not Netflix nights. The included S-switch and gamer blinders might make you feel like a tournament pro, but unless you care about style points, it is strictly business up front, frags out back. 8 out of 10. Asus ROG Strix X-G27UCDMG. This Asus Strix is a 4080 pixel, 240 Hz OLED marvel ready to dazzle your eyes with rich colors and instant response, which means your aim and those precious gun skins all look dangerously good. It has just about every high-tech feature imaginable, from anti-flicker modes to enough USB ports for a collector of mechanical keyboards, though that fancy panel might flicker in some tricky dark scenes. For those wanting both show-off visuals and razor-sharp gaming speed, this is one monitor that brings the bling and the boom. 9 out of 10. AOC Q27G4ZD. The AOC Q27G4ZD punches above its weight with a budget-friendly QD OLED panel, buttery smooth 240 Hz refresh rate, and enough pop in color to make even your grenade look stylish. It is missing some HDR fireworks and fancy brightness tweaks, but for the price, you get pro-grade response times and a screen that makes competitive shooters feel like an all-you-can-click buffet. USB ports on the side seal the deal for quick gear swaps. This monitor is a sleeper hit for rising legends. 8 out of 10. Asus ROG Strix XG27AQDMG. This monitor drops a glossy 27-inch punch with colors so bold and black so inky, you might start looking for your lost mouse in the abyss. The 240 Hz refresh rate and blink and you miss it 0.03 millisecond response time mean your shots hit faster than you can blame lag, and clarity is so crisp you will see your mistakes in glorious high definition. It is not the absolute flashiest on the block, but for Counter-Strike 2, this thing is almost unfair, unless you worry about OLED burn-in when you forget to leave your chair between rounds. 8 out of 10. Asus ROG Swift PG32UCDP. If you want to flex on your squad with the ultimate bragging rights, this 27-inch stunner goes nuclear with a wild 480 Hz refresh rate, buttery smooth motion, and colors that make your game look like someone jacked up the saturation and never looked back. The input lag is so low, your fingers will finish rounds before your brain registers the clutch, and the only real downside is finding a graphics card fast enough to keep up with this beast. Outside of missing speakers, it is just about perfect for Counter-Strike 2, unless you suddenly develop a fear of never blinking again. 10 out of 10. Alienware AW2524HF. This 25-inch speed demon wants to break the sound barrier with up to 500 Hz refresh rates and snappy 0.5 millisecond response times, provided your eyes and hardware are both superhuman. It is as smooth as gliding on ice during a firefight, but with a basic full high-definition panel and no luxury bells or whistles, no speakers, no fancy lighting, and not even a headphone jack. So expect raw, esports-focused power over pretty looks. Great for that try-hard grind in Counter-Strike 2, but feels more like a sports car stripped for racing than a daily driver for most gamers. 7 out of 10. LG UltraGear 32GS95UEB. This monitor is basically the Clark Kent of displays, switching from breathtaking 4000 pixel resolution at 240 Hz to lightning-fast 1080 pixel at 480 Hz faster than you can say eco-round. The OLED panel makes colors pop harder than a flashbang in a smoke, and you get hilariously low response times, but the built-in speakers sound like they are whispering through a sock, and the price definitely knows it's premium. Perfect for the sweaty clutch or just flexing on your desk, but your wallet may need CPR afterward. 9 out of 10. KTC G27P. This 27-inch underdog comes in swinging with an LG OLED panel, 240 Hz refresh rate, and response time so quick it feels psychic, all at a price that will not make you uninstall your savings app. It may not win points for fancy looks, and the HDR is a tad dim, but the visuals and buttery smooth gameplay make fragging feel like a highlight reel. Plus, you get actual speakers and a build that will not hog your desk. A killer deal for the frame-chasing legend who would rather buy skins, and it leaves the more expensive competition wondering where their money went. 8 out of 10. HP Omen 32UCDP. With a 4000 pixel panel, 240 Hz speed, and colors so deep you will spot that pixel-peeking camper from a mile away, this monitor is both a gaming weapon and a graphic designer's dream. It serves up smoothness and accuracy with zero visible lag, pro colors, and style to match. But honestly, the lack of a remote and HDR brightness might land you in the pit for daylight matches. If you want the Swiss Army knife of screens and plan to game in a windowless lair, you have found your champion. 9 out of 10. LG UltraGear 45GS95QEB. This gigantic curved beauty wraps you in OLED color so rich it might make you question why you ever played CS2 on anything smaller than a bathtub. The 240Hz refresh rate keeps your flicks crisp and buttery, but that curve is so aggressive it almost bends reality. Perfect for single player, but your radar might feel lost in the jungle during competitive matches. No speakers, a glare-prone OLED, and a price tag that will have your wallet running for cover. But if immersive visuals are your jam, it's a wild ride. 7 out of 10. Samsung G60SD. With a juicy quantum dot OLED and a 360Hz refresh rate, this Samsung flat panel absolutely shreds through Counter-Strike, making every shot look smoother than your last excuse for missing it. Vibrant colors, zero ghosting, and a matte finish take the sting off, but the price is still one of those close your eyes and tap buy moments. If you want your frames blistering fast and your eyes bathed in esports glory, this monitor is the coach yelling, "Buy it already." 9 out of 10. LG 27GX790AB. LG cranks up the danger with a 480Hz OLED so fast it nearly predicts your flicks before you make them. And the input lag is so low you'll think you booted into the future by accident. The screen gets impressively bright, handles HDR like a superstar, and shrugs off glare. But no speakers and a limited color punch compared to QD OLED still keep it humble. For competitive CS2 at breakneck speed, this is the monitor that says, "I am speed." Just calibrate it before rushing mid. 9 out of 10. LG 45GX95DAB. This monster-sized OLED is so curved, it feels like wrapping yourself in a monitor burrito, and now your Counter-Strike matches basically become panoramic masterpieces. The colors are outrageously vivid, and that dual-mode refresh lets you flip between cinematic visuals and esports twitchiness in a blink. Just hope you have a desk big enough for this spaceship. But the price tag is so wild, your wallet may report you for griefing. And it does not get super bright in high dynamic range, so watch out if you love playing with the sun streaming in. 7 out of 10. BenQ Zowie XL2586. If sweaty palms and split-second headshots are your thing, this Zowie turns up with a blistering 540Hz refresh and motion clarity so sharp it might make a pixel cry. No wonder it's the official choice for big esports tournaments. But, oh boy, the colors are about as dull as a dust-heavy B-side. Viewing angles are a crime. And no high dynamic range means your game still looks trapped in 2012. Plus, that price tag is scarier than a surprise grenade. 6 out of 10. Dell S3222DGM. With a curve that's more chill than extreme, and colors deeper than a smoke grenade cloud, the Dell S3222DGM shows up as the value hero for anyone who wants gorgeous contrast and smooth 165Hz action on a budget. It is not studded with fancy features, and you do not get high dynamic range. But this well-built 32-inch screen makes everyday play actually fun to look at, and the price leaves you enough left over for all those Counter-Strike knives skins. It's almost great, to be honest. 8 out of 10. Asus ROG Swift OLED PG27UCDM. Blink and you'll miss your enemies because this monitor's display is so sharp, it makes your crosshair look like a surgical instrument. It packs 4K resolution into 27 inches with a blistering refresh rate that's so fast, your reaction time becomes the only thing slowing you down. There is a bit of VRR flicker if your frame rates stutter, but for CS2, this monitor is basically cheating. 9 out of 10. Asus PG32UCDP. This 32-inch beast lets you choose between ultra-high refresh rates and eye-popping color, serving up buttery gaming at both 4K 240Hz and Full HD freaky fast 480Hz. It has white OLED tech instead of quantum dots, so brightness cranks up high enough to light your whole room, but it's not as vivid as its QD cousins. Massive size and all the gaming features you want, but it does ask for the desk space of a small family sedan. 8 out of 10. Samsung Odyssey OLED G81SF. With colors and pixel density so extreme, this monitor might just let you see through walls, or at least make headshots embarrassingly easy for you. Every frame looks drop-dead gorgeous thanks to its glare-free tech and swift refresh. Although your GPU may sob trying to keep up with all those pixels, it is pricey and the USB setup isn't perfect, but for Counter-Strike, it's basically the visual equivalent of an espresso shot. 9 out of 10. AOC Agon Pro AG276QZD. This OLED monitor slides in with a refresh rate that will make you question if time is even real, plus colors so punchy you might fail the CS2 eye test. The build quality is fancy, and the low input lag means crisp headshots, but its QD OLED magic gets a bit dim on HDR brightness and colors are less wild than its pricier rivals. If you love gaming but do not want to drain your bank account or get burned by silly flicker, this one is a solid teammate, just not MVP material. 7 out of 10. Sony Inzone M10S. Sony's latest is so fast, your opponents have probably rage quit before the screen finishes drawing the round end screen, thanks to an obscene 480Hz refresh rate. The OLED panel puts up ridiculous picture quality with deep blacks and instant motion, though static images might haunt it with burn-in if you camp too hard. It is great for competitive glory in Counter-Strike, but the price makes it feel more like luxury esports gear for players with a sponsorship deal. 8 out of 10. Alienware AW2725DF. Alienware's beast rolls out with a lightning-quick 360Hz refresh rate. Picture accuracy so sharp you can spot the pixels in your own disappointment, and enough quantum dot flare to blind the competition. But if you want speakers, keep dreaming. It's gorgeous for pixel-perfect CS2 action, and nearly flawless for fast-motion mayhem, but your wallet may weep louder than a post-match rant. For pure competitive style and performance, this is spicy stuff. 9 out of 10. Alienware AW3225QF. Alienware's AW3225QF is what happens when you give a monitor developers an unlimited budget and say, make Counter-Strike look glorious or don't come back. The curved panel dishes out wildly rich colors and refresh rates so fast, your headshot might register before you do, leaving motion blur crying in the corner. There is nothing remotely flawed here except maybe how quickly you will fall in love with your own aim. This thing's overkill in all the right ways. 10 out of 10. Gigabyte Aorus FO27Q3. The Aorus FO27Q3 flips the competitive switch with a ridiculous refresh rate, so your missed shots are entirely your fault and not the monitor's. Just try aiming at 360 frames per second and see if your reflexes keep up. It's got a wild OLED display and juicy colors that make enemy shadows pop, plus a bunch of ports and a handy KVM switch for pro-level multitasking, though cable management is more tragic than a last-round clutch. Hardcore shooters will adore it, but casuals might feel like they paid for a Ferrari to drive to the supermarket. 9 out of 10. Corsair Xeneon 32QHD240. The Corsair Xeneon 32QHD240 comes at you bright and vibrant, tossing colors and light around like a disco ball trying out for esports. But when it comes to deep shadows and contrast in those clutch moments, it fizzles harder than a popcorn flash. It's fast and big, yes, and the stand is good for desk wigglers, but prepare for black levels to take a holiday right when you need to spot a sneaky opponent. Definitely a maybe for bright rooms, but for dim, tense action, look elsewhere. 6 out of 10. Alienware AW725DF. This monitor takes Counter-Strike to warp speed with a 360Hz refresh rate, popping out colors sharper than your aim after 3 cans of energy drink. The response time is so instant, you will see your pixel peaks before you even click, and the true black levels might make you start camping darker corners than ever. There are no built-in speakers, so prepare to shout your call-outs at your teammates the old-fashioned way, loudly at your desk. 8 out of 10. Gigabyte Aorus FO32U2P. Pull up to Frag Night with this 32-inch beast that has more inputs than a LAN party prize table and colors that pop brighter than a headshot highlight reel. It runs at 240 Hz and handles brightness like a pro, even if some rivals sneak ahead with a little more glow, but dang, the daisy chaining feature tidies up your setup so clean your mousepad will thank you. Motion clarity and OLED contrast make gameplay buttery smooth, but you will need a monster PC to actually push all those pixels in CS2. 9 out of 10. BenQ Mobiuz X321UX. Big and bold with 32 inches of 4K mini LED. Goodness, this monitor brings more brightness than your flashbangs, but only hits 144 Hz. While the OLED crowd zooms past you, the colors are vivid, HDR is strong, and the zone dimming makes dark scenes look detailed. Just do not expect built-in speakers or fancy RGB to impress your squad. If you want brilliant image quality and do not care about super high refresh rates, this is a solid sidekick. Otherwise, look elsewhere for a true CS2 champion. 7 out of 10. MSI MPG3221URX. This monitor is like the Hulk of gaming screens. 32 inches of pure OLED goodness, with colors so bold, you might just spot your enemies before they spot their own existential crisis. Boasting a buttery smooth refresh rate and lightning response times, every missed shot will be your fault, not the monitor's. Sorry, you have no excuses left. But unless you are a baller, the hefty price tag hits harder than a deagle headshot. For real competitive CS2, this beast is overkill and more show than go. 6 out of 10.